I believe that Pyth could be such a big narrative during this bull run, and I don't only just believe that because I hypothetically see it going to the price of $10, not only just because of that, but another reason why is because I think that this could be the next special project that has this Oracle focus. And let me explain why, even though nothing I say is financial advice. It's because, again, here's the thing. We all know that Chainlink is a big narrative, and many people anticipate it to even be a bigger narrative in the future. And when I take a look at Pyth, it's basically like Chainlink, but just a lot smaller and with a much less fan base, much less exposure. But it doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing, because the lower something is, hypothetically, the more room it has to grow. And for anyone out there who says that they missed the boat on Chainlink, they say, oh, it's too massive as of right now. Well, if they missed the boat, then they did. There's nothing they can do about it, logically, right? But then still, hypothetically, what could be the next big thing? Something like Pyth, in my opinion, even though I can't speak on anyone's behalf. But the reason for that is because if you take a look at the Pyth network, it's a blockchain oracle for market data. And again, we all know Chainlink's decentralized oracle network, that's famous. So this could be very well the next big thing. And think about why is an oracle so crucial or so important, I would say. The reason for that is because without oracles, many decentralized applications out there, they simply wouldn't be able to function properly. And the reason for that lies in the use case of an oracle. And in this case, an oracle is basically a data feed that brings data from off the chain, aka off-chain data, and brings that data over into the blockchain. And this is, again, very crucial for many decentralized applications out there to function properly. If I were to put an analogy on it, it's like having an electric car, but then there's no electricity. Think about that, right? Imagine having a Tesla, but then having no access to electricity. Then how is it going to function properly? That's the way to take a look at it. So again, when it comes to Pyth, it's very special. Not to mention, we take a look at how the Pyth network can, for instance, provide price feeds for smart contracts. So again, it kind of has the same vibe of like a Chainlink. But again, even though Chainlink is absolutely massive, already very reputable, this could be the next big one. Think about this. Chainlink, if I were to put an analogy, it's like Dogecoin, right? But then what was the next best thing or the next big thing? Shiba Inu. This kind of feels like that when it comes to Pyth. However, besides that point, we take a look at Pyth themselves even claim that they deliver real-time market data for crypto, equities, foreign exchange, and commodities to over 50 blockchains. So that's impressive. And even according to Solana, by the way, the Pyth network is a high-frequency oracle built using Solana ecosystem technology. Now, why do I like this? It's because Solana, despite its historical unreliability, which is allegedly true, it did experience 8 different network outages at one point in a time span of a year. Even despite that, Solana is very rock solid because you take a look at it's very low in gas fees, very scalable, very fast. So Solana is a good layer 1 blockchain. People may think that it's not perfect, which it isn't. Also, Ethereum's not perfect because Ethereum has high gas fees and scalability issues despite having to rely on these layer 2s. Even despite that, again, I don't think any layer 1 blockchain is quote unquote perfect. So I think Solana is good enough, and this is the right pick in my opinion. So again, having this Solana aspect in a sense when it comes to Pyth, I do like that. And I think it's very beneficial to people who, again, are fans of Pyth because, come on, man, Ethereum sky-high gas fees, that's complete nonsense in my opinion. Now, besides that point, though, we take a look at currently, when it comes to Pyth, there's over 95 major market participants, which includes Binance, Bybit, and OKX, 3 giants, by the way, in the exchange space. So this is good news. Not to mention, currently Pyth is helping facilitate over 500 data feeds and over 350 applications. So yeah, that's insane. So when people think that Pyth doesn't have the best adoption, well, it doesn't, but it's pretty good. It's heading up there. And even though it's not anywhere close to Chainlink, I still think this is pretty decent. And not to mention, a lot of the hype I think is going to transfer to Pyth because people, they usually move in trends. Once people really focus on these projects that have this Oracle aspect, not only will they take a look at Chainlink, but I think just by proxy, right, naturally, because Pyth is so similar, they're going to focus on this too. Think about it. When people love Dogecoin, they eventually moved on to Shiba Inu and then eventually trickled onto other meme coins. So the way I view it is that when it comes to Pyth, it's a very special project, very underrated. And I think it's very special and I really can't wait because, again, $10, I don't see why not. Keep in mind, if it were to go to the price of $10, Considering current circulating supply, market cap would be around $36 billion. So it's not that bad. That's still around $50 billion less than Dogecoin's all-time high market cap. And keep in mind, $10 is around a 33x from here. So it's not, the worst upside out there, but it's not the best either. But in my opinion, it's pretty good, especially considering how much Pyth has grown, relatively speaking. It's a pretty big project, but it's not the biggest. But I don't mind anyways because I think it's very amazing. Now, here's the thing. If you take a look at Charles Hoskinson, who not only is the co-founder of Ethereum, but the founder of Cardano, he does predict that in the next 1 to 2 years, based on a video that he was a part of back in November, he said that he could very well see Bitcoin reaching anywhere between $250,000 all the way up to $500,000, which is insane, by the way. And the reason for that is because if Bitcoin does that amazing, could you imagine what happens to Pyth then? I mean, $10 may seem a little bit bearish at that point. Now, that's just my opinion, but if let's say we assume his worst case scenario price target for Bitcoin, $250,000, and best case scenario timeline, which is a year from November of 2024, so that's November this year, could you imagine if by November of this year, Bitcoin reaches $250,000? Again, even at that point, $10 for Pyth may seem a little bit bearish in my opinion. Now, what is a strong factor, which I think could very well support this hypothesis? That is the fact that there's currently over 600 million crypto owners, according to Crypto.com research, pretty much double the amount that we saw when compared to the peak of the 2021 bull run. Not to mention the Bitcoin ETF, the Ethereum ETF, the number of institutional investors, the amount of enterprise adoption, and also the amount of educated investors as of right now is just a lot higher. People nowadays, they know more about cryptocurrencies, about blockchain technology, about oracles, about just projects in general. So this right here, I think, could very well create a perfect storm, but only time will tell. And historically speaking, as a worst case scenario, altcoins, they usually peak around 18 months after a Bitcoin halving event. And the last Bitcoin halving event again happened back in April of last year. So 18 months from then is actually around October this year. So if you think about that, could altcoins truly shine in 2025? I think so. And I think Pyth is going to go along with that, right? Now, only time will tell. But in the meantime, I am going to be dollar cost averaging into Pyth. So anytime an income, acquiring, holding, and just waiting, that's it. Because I don't like to day trade. I don't like to use leverage. I don't like to swing trade. I don't like to do any of that type of stuff whatsoever. And for the people who argue that, Pyth isn't going to gain attention, well, if Luna Classic, something that is pretty much trash, in my opinion, hypothetically, because of course the project is off into the abyss, if that can even find a bottom and pump, if that still has a good fan base, if something like Klima DAO can recover in a sense, also if something like Litecoin can even pump at all, really, I mean, that's pretty shocking. But even besides that point, even despite all that, if those projects still have a fan base and still, in some cases, had a good recovery, why can't Pyth at least do pretty good during this war? And that's just my opinion. It's not going to be the best performing thing out there. It's not a micro cap. It doesn't have the best fan base, doesn't have the best exposure. But you know what? I think this has to be one of my foundational pieces in my portfolio because room for growth is decent and it has rock solid fundamentals. And it really does remind me of Chainlink. I think this could be such a big narrative. And again, Pyth at the price of $10 during this bull run wouldn't surprise me whatsoever, and it's a no-brainer pick for me. And make sure to subscribe if you gain value from this video. I'd greatly appreciate it. It's Malik the Captain, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. I'm out. Peace. Bye.